This is Justin AMZN for Friday, August 23rd, 2019. We finally got that pushed down into 1747 that I was talking about like 2 weeks ago, where we almost touched it and then almost touched it again last week. Finally, we're here. It was a very nice bearish retest gap. Let's jump into the 5 minute and see how things played out. So initially, we're breaking down from this channel, the channel we've been talking about, we've been coming into for a while. We're in the top edge of that channel and do this sort of double top triangle sort of thing. It breaks out, gets above this bearish candle, and comes right into the high of Friday. It was pretty much right into the close of Thursday. Gorgeous place to roll over. Just that's the retest. It came back right into these closing prices earlier in the day for Thursday, and then this one here on Thursday, and then from there to this double top thing, came right back into this channel and then just collapsed, tried to bounce on the lower end of the channel, broke down, retested, and then rolled over down into 1747. And then from there, it just kept pushing down into 17. Any rally, any bounce from there just came right back down into it. So this came into it, came up to the 21, came back down into it, and then into the close, just a little bit of buying there, just probably shorts exiting for a huge move down. So again, we looked at how things opened up on the calls. You want to give it some room to retest, and so it broke down here, put in a nice base around 253, and then this small candle, you could have been bracketing this one, getting it above or stop with a stop below, or vice versa, or at least going for puts there, but getting in like 350 by 250 or 4 by 3, as long as you're exiting at 2R or 3R or something, something defined, even coming up back up into this level, getting out at say 7. So let's say you got in at 4, get out at 7. Then you got out with 3 R's there, and that was it, because it did that double top and then just collapsed. It was worth nothing the rest of the day. The puts, however, here's the that was the 1800 calls. Here's the 1800 puts. Lost a little bit of value, went from being around $5 all the way up to being over $50. Pretty much like a 10R, or I'm sorry, a 10X, where it just goes up by so much. And if we go look at another option, like 1775 puts, you can see those got even lower and then had a phenomenal move. So these were under $50, below 50, below $1. You could have been buying it for under $1. So this would have been an absolute zero setup. Or even at this low, maybe you didn't know here, maybe you knew here, what was going on with a tweet or whatever that caused things to collapse, or just broke tensions bearish, really, because there's a lot of just waiting for it to roll over, and finally got the trigger for that. So anyway, had you been getting into any of this down here, absolute zero, you're pretty much with this throwing away that $50, that $100. But in this case, on Friday, it would have really paid off. Completely collapsed and just continued on through. And getting down to 1747 meant that a 1775 put would have been around $28 to close, and that's pretty much where it was at its high. It was around $28. This was one that you would have had to been chasing a little bit with where your entry was. It just didn't pull back enough. And so the other thing is you can go out a little further, and I'm just jumping by 25s. You can go back and look at some of the other options and say, well, could I have gotten into a different one sooner? Sure, probably, but what you want to look for is where it pulls back at least to the same level that it was at before on a low. And this did really well to hold right around $2 as that low, and then ultimately broke. And you could have been waiting on this one. Look at this. This was worth $5 in here. You could have at least offered 5, maybe 6, 7, 10, and gotten filled and done that on 10 of them. Got into 10 of those for $100. Filled at 10, probably. A bunch of these are filled at 10, 7. There you go. And even exiting at 2 would have been a nice game. But had you exited up at 6, 7, 8, almost $9. Phenomenal move, huge move. Getting in at 10 cents and getting out at $10 would have been, 100x. Still getting in at $10 and getting out at 7 would have been 70x. That's still just phenomenal, amazing. And still getting in at 2 to stop at 1, going up to 2R at 4 would have been great. Would have been nice to hold it a little longer. And wait, just be patient. Wait for it to, oops, I didn't want the daily. There we go. Wait for it to roll down into that level. Back on the 5-minute, you can see it just was slowly grinding lower, grinding lower, grinding lower. Wow. It just dropped right into there. So, yeah. Where do we go from here? This should be retraced somewhat, if not the whole thing, somewhat soon. Any of these bearish moves have been really met with nice buying. Like even this one, we made a new low, just like we did today. Made a new low than recently. Made a new low than recently. Going back a couple months, and within 4 days, we were above that high. So the very next week from this, basically, we're done. Actually, no, that was the same week. That was a Monday. That was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That same week we were back up. Well, obviously, this was a Friday. And we'll see what we do on Monday, but totally should be retraced somewhat. It was a really strong bearish retest gap. This, had a bunch of bears probably exiting right at the close, making a new low, some new ones getting on. And we can totally continue lower. It'd be nice if we touch this downtrend line. This X marks the spot is set up for, let's see, what is this one? 27th. So that would be Tuesday, right? Tuesday for that to be at the price 1714.50. That could totally happen Monday, but Tuesday, yeah, that's possible. If we push down a little bit lower, if we contend with this low, I guess what I'd like to see is a take out this low, come back into low, upper 1600s, take out this low. If we can get it down to something like this, it's going to have so many bears jumping on. And it's like, oh, it's going to 0, and then it's just going to throw itself higher. It's just going to completely trampoline bounce and go even faster up than this. And then it'll just bring up all those questions of, well, how do you trade this kind of stuff? And just do it. Dive into the 5 minutes, seeing, okay, where could you have entered? Where could you have set a stop? You're just playing that, And so we looked at a couple different ways to do that today. And some work, some don't. Some work better than others. And it's just getting familiar with what those options are and being ready for a big day. A big day like this where we have a bigger move. We've had a lot of these smaller days, even this kind of obscure one here where we had that nice bounce just to, gap down, just to trade around a little bit, kind of these bullish, we were talking about these bullish gap and goes that just haven't really held. The bulls come in. Well, this is why we were trapping a lot of them. We had bulls buying, and today we gapped below some of these, and essentially, just like we did, or similar to what we did up here, did some sort of, let's see, what's up here? We did some sort of like iron reversal up here. Remember, it was this, and then it got down here, and then we did end up trading back up to it. But this feels like kind of a miniature iron reversal here, where we gapped up into it. We did trade back down into that candle, but not to the close. And then today we gapped right down, or Friday we gapped down. So the open on this one was 1792.89. Open on this one was 793.03. So really close opening prices, without these wicks here. Really, this is still an island reversal. It's just a really low, really small one. This one was 6 candles. This one's 4 candles. They don't have to be huge. But it just shows that, okay, what was going on up here, and as we were breaking down, we could look for something similar here, where we were breaking down, still chop around a little bit, and continue lower, and point back to, well, that is an island reversal. It's okay for it to go down further when you have that sort of pattern. And we'll see if we get any sort of bounce here, any sort of retracement, and still look to continue lower. Now, this does look like a triple bottom, or a really nice accumulation phase, but it could definitely still go lower. So we will see if it does on Monday, if it does any more this week, or if we get any sort of bounce. We're thinking sideways. I'm thinking sideways a little less likely just because there's a lot of momentum. We kind of stayed it out with the bearish momentum. We'll see if we get going again lower. But a lot, this is a lot of volume on a big bearish day. So trapping any bulls up here, especially and all the ones buying this day from Wednesday. So we shall see how things move. So keep an eye on the 5 minute and look for some potential bounce in the morning just to probably roll back over. Even if it gets up to like 70, 75, I'd be cautiously looking for that rollover. If it retraces even further, holding like 1800, then it would look like, okay, it's either going to continue to pop and squeeze a bunch of shorts, or it's going to roll over right now and do it again just like this kind of thing. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. Hope that helps. This is Justin AMZN. Thanks.